I'm grateful that there was not a catastrophic loss of life as Florida is now trying to recover from the devastating effects of Hurricane Milton. There was a lot of damage, a lot of devastation, still flooding. I've got a friend who is now driving towards my house to see what condition my house is in. I have absolutely no idea. My fancy schmancy generator failed 3 hours into the storm last night. So I'm in a hotel room in New York City trying to watch the cameras and keep track of the progress of the storm and the effects on my property. And the generator, it was the weirdest thing, and nobody really knows. Even the generator guy this morning, I talked to him by a text and said, what does this even mean? What kind of error is this? Generator is stopped. The generator has experienced an under-voltage fault. Please verify the generator is not overloaded. Contact your dealer. Well, of course, nobody's back to work or dealing with anything yet because it's going to take some time. Florida residents are still facing dangerous winds, flooding, of course, downtown St. Pete, devastation. The roof of the Tropicana field, the Major League Baseball stadium where the Tampa Bay Rays play in downtown St. Pete, the whole thing blew off. They had thousands of first responders and linemen who were headquartered there in cots. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. Giant crane toppled over in downtown St. Pete, crashed into another building. Thankfully, nobody hurt. And as I settled in to prepare for whatever the storm was going to bring to my adopted state of Florida yesterday afternoon, I suffered through Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, with the rest of the country politicizing the hurricane. And Biden and Kamala squealing about misinformation. This has now become their new narrative, that if you criticize the Biden-Harris administration, you're guilty of misinformation. That's their COVID-inspired talking point. This came from COVID. If you had the audacity to say, I don't want to be forced to get a vaccine, you're guilty of misinformation. If you criticized Fauci or Francis, what's his name, or any of these people from the health agencies that were browbeating us into submission, you're guilty of misinformation. Well, they're trying to use that same tactic for hurricane responses. It would take me 10 seconds to get somebody on the phone to say how disappointed and frustrated and upset they are about FEMA's lack of response. Now, is that person un-American? I watched Joe Biden claim that if you criticize FEMA, you're un-American. I watched Joe Biden and Kamala Harris on a supposed hurricane briefing beating up Trump and his supporters. I never, ever, ever get over how low they'll go. You remember Eric Holder, when they go low, we kick them in the shins. Well, they're kicking in the shins all right, but they're going to get their shins kicked back on November 5th because we're going to win this thing. You know my joke, if you're a longtime member of this audience, if you followed me for a while, I joke about Donald Trump saying he's willing to go anywhere and be interviewed by anybody. And my joke is always, I heard he went on the Weather Channel last night. I'm not making this up. Kamala Harris is so desperate to get elected on November 5th by any means possible. She actually went on the Weather Channel yesterday and described hurricane categories to the meteorologist. Now, let me repeat that. I've got the receipts. Don't worry, I'll play the clip for you if you think I've lost my mind. If you think I'm having a meltdown, if you believe I'm having an aneurysm, I promise you this is true. This imbecile, Kamala Harris, went on the Weather Channel yesterday and explained to the meteorologist how hurricanes work. You think they're desperate? You think they're afraid? Here she is Again, playing right into my long-time running gag about how Trump probably appeared on the Weather Channel last night. Well, Kamala Harris did it literally. Here's the Vice President of the United States, the failing, losing presidential candidate. Make no mistake, they're losing. Every poll that's coming out, thankfully, the momentum and the joy has shifted. The joy, yeah, some joy. They're going to lose. She's going to lose, and she knows it. That's why she went on the Weather Channel yesterday to tell the meteorologist how a hurricane works.
The other point, Mike, that I would make, especially it came through on the briefing from the federal experts, it's really important that we think about the language that we're using to talk about what we are predicting. Because, for example, it has moved from time to time from a Category 5 to a Category 4. It's important that we not emphasize that downgrading has happened because, in fact, the difference between Category 5 and Category 4 in terms of the danger and the damage is pretty much the same.
We are officially in an insane asylum. We have now walked through the gates of La La Land. Now, you think that's bad? How about Biden himself at the hurricane briefing when he wasn't beating up Donald Trump and his supporters for being guilty of misinformation? Biden is asking FEMA how wide Florida is. Now, let that sink in. I've got the receipts. I got the clip. The 46th president of the United States of America, in this show briefing, this complete ruse of a press event, where they're all in their little boxes, he's huddled behind his little mini-me desk. You know that tiny little Tonka toy desk that they built for him in the White House? For some reason, they thought it was a good idea to seat him behind like a little person's desk. It's like a desk for an Oompa Loompa. It's this tiny little desk that he sits in behind this fake background in the White House. So he's at the Oompa Loompa desk, and he asks FEMA, I kid you not, how wide is Florida?
What is the width of the state of Florida from the Tampa Bay area across to Sebastian Inlet in that area to Palm Beach? What kind of distance are we talking about?
What are we talking about? The state of Florida. How wide is it? How wide? Well, ask Kamala. She's the meteorologist now. She has to know, right? Because she's given a weather forecast. I swear to you, we're going to see her pop up tonight on NBC Nightly News in front of the green chroma keyboard doing the weather. She's going to do the weather. So meteorologist Kamala and Joe Biden, a.k.a. Lewis and Clark, that's who's in charge of the country right now. And they wonder why we're questioning the government's response to Hurricane Milton? They're wondering why we might raise our eyebrows at why people who are suffering in Western North Carolina aren't getting help from FEMA? You wonder why? We got two buffoons running the country. Holy cow. 800-655-MIKE, 15 past the hour. And look, the country may be on fire. I want to know why my generator failed. Nobody's given me a good answer on that one. Well, enough about me. Let's talk about me for a moment. Tyson's in Connecticut. Tyson, do you know how generators work? What's this error message I got?
I used to own my own company, and we did sell and service home generators, and I have one at my house. The first thing, I mean, obviously you're not there, is somebody needs to check how many volts the battery has, and it's probably below 12, which means there's two things. There's a stator. It's just like a car. If the battery goes dead.
But why would the battery go dead on a brand new, this is a brand new whole house generator?
Right. The charging system's probably not working correctly because they have a charger that supplies the battery with voltage. If a technician goes out there and the battery's below 12 volts, jumpstart the thing, put another meter on it, it better be above 13 volts.
I got it.
If it's not, the stator, the voltage regulator is bad.
You got it. I got it. Well, look, we're going to find out. You're a good man, Charlie Brown. I appreciate you very, very much. Oh, listen, obviously I'm kidding. I don't. it's only stuff. I'm just afraid the house got, blown down or is on fire or underwater. I don't know because I can't see because all the cameras went out when the power went out and the internet went out and then the generator went out. So good old big britches, Mike Gallagher, got my big whole house generator. Fault has occurred. Generator stopped. You've experienced an undervoltage fault. What my handyman is thinking, and my buddy Dave, he's an electrician, he thinks maybe they cut the gas off to the house or something, or maybe there's debris. Maybe it got flooded. I don't know. I'm going to find out shortly, so keep your fingers crossed. But like I keep saying, it's only stuff. I'm safe. My family's safe. A lot of my colleagues are safe, although poor Robert Haley, our chief engineer in Tampa Bay, apparently his car broke down in the middle of all of this, so he's on the side of the highway somewhere, being rescued by the station's Bill Bunkley, who's been up all night doing reports. But we're going to make it. We're going to get through it all, you and me together, fighting the good fight. And we are less than, what is it? What is it now? Less than 4 weeks, 3.5 weeks away from getting this country back. Welcome into the Mike Gallagher Show post-Milton, a way for you to help. We've partnered with Food for the Poor. I'll give you that information and more coming up here in the Relief Factor Studios. Our number for you to join us, 800-655-MIKE, 800-655-6453.